In this video, you're going to learn how to use LinkedIn ads video retargeting to scale pipeline and revenue. I'm going to walk you through some examples of how to build these segments, video types that convert best, and showcase a video retargeting play that we use to scale $1 million in pipeline for one of our clients. If you're new to this channel, I'm Silvio Perez. I am the founder of Ad Conversion. We are a digital advertising academy and agency with 5,000 plus B2B marketers taking our courses on LinkedIn and other topics. And we manage over $3 million a month in ad spend under management for B2B SaaS brands, of which about $1.5 million a month is actually on LinkedIn ads. So when it comes to LinkedIn, we know what we're talking about. So let's start off by first walking through the segments, then the video types that convert best, and then we'll wrap up with the retargeting play that drove $1 million in pipeline. Okay, so I'm here in LinkedIn ads and I've got LinkedIn open up here on my screen. And what you want to do is you want to go to plan audiences and then go to create audience, matched audience. And we are going to select here video as our option. If you want to know more about LinkedIn and all these different options available, we have a ton of content on this channel around retargeting. So definitely check that out. But for the sake of this video, we are focusing in on this specific segment around video retargeting. So the cool thing about LinkedIn is anytime that you promote video content on LinkedIn, you have the ability to retarget the viewers of said content. So for context, like we have all of these different campaigns that we've ran in the past, and we can retarget individuals that have watched certain percentages of our videos. So LinkedIn at the time of this recording allows 25, 50, 75, and 97% completion of your videos. Now, the general rule of thumb and like the line of thinking here is the more somebody watches their video, you can equate that to more brand affinity and trust and more actual value being delivered to the receiver because they actually stuck through and watched an entire video. Some traps to look out for though here when you're building out these retargeting segments is keep in mind the length of video that you're trying to build these segments off of. For context, like if you're promoting a video that's 15 seconds long and somebody watches 97% of a 10-second video, did you really build brand affinity and trust? Are they actually ready for the next step in your strategy? That's something that you want to take in consideration because I see a lot of people, they make the assumption, hey, they watched 97% of video, so that means that they're ready now to hear about a demo or a free trial offer or something like this, and it may or may not be true. So what you want to do in practice is you want to create different segments based on percentages of completion. So typically what this looks like for us in our agency is we will create a segment for 25% completions, we'll create a segment of 50% completions, 75 and 97% completions, assuming we have enough video content. If you just need a good starting point, I always recommend at least 50%. So people that watch at least half of your video, and assuming your video is like more than 45 seconds, then that's a good starting point. Ideally, if your videos are like between 1 and 2 minutes, even better if you're creating these 50% segments because now you really know, hey, they actually found value from the content, they stuck around, and now moving them into the next stage of my strategy. One other thing too to keep in mind is sometimes, people are scrolling through LinkedIn and they'll stop scrolling and a video is playing. That's getting counted, right? Like that is just to be aware of that, like this can happen. So some people will be in this audience pool and they didn't actually watch your video, but they may have like stop scrolling, that video is playing and things like that. So it's not 100% foolproof, but in practice, you're going to come here and you're going to create one of these different segments. So for context, like what I like to do is I always like to put remarketing and then I'll do 25% video views. And then in this case, I'll put the cohort of time. So it'll be 90 days in the past. I always recommend if you're just starting out and you don't have enough size, start with 90 days. But in a perfect world, you want to move towards a cohorted time approach for your retargeting. And if you're not familiar with what this looks like in practice, check out our best practices video on retargeting. But basically you have a 30-day cluster, a 90-day cluster, a 180-day cluster, and then now you can put these segments grouped by those segments of time if you have that availability, because then you can create different content that you show people based on how recent they actually interacted with your brand. So people who visit in a 30-day period, they get product marketing content, social proof content. People that visit in a 90-day period, they get that plus thought leadership content. And then people who are, in a 180-day period, you just focus on that thought leadership content as an example. So let's just go ahead and choose 90 days here. The next thing you want to do is you want to make sure you sort by views. So you can see from the highest to least how many views by campaign that you have video content that you're using so that you can retarget those individuals. So for context, like we have a retargeting campaign where we are retargeting people to get them into our community. And I have 4,500 people who've watched 25% of my video in this specific campaign. You can see here, if I switch it to 50%, you'll see that the number dramatically drops, right? It actually got cut in half here in terms of the amount of people that actually watched our video ads to the end, right? In this case, it's 50%. If I keep scrolling through here, 75%, you can see it drops further. 97%, it drops even lower than that. So this specific audience here of 97%, like the assumption here is like this specific 1,200 views, these 1,200 individuals, is much more likely to convert if I ran them additional ads compared to somebody in this, let's just say 25% cluster. This 4,500 people, maybe they're less likely. Again, this is all assumption. You need to test, you need to see, but generally speaking, this is how to think about it. So in practice, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and create each one of these different segments that I want to retarget. And that's like the base layer foundation of how this looks in practice. One really annoying thing about LinkedIn, just to be mindful of, is if you're launching new campaigns with video, you're gonna have to come back here and actually add in those additional campaigns, because LinkedIn doesn't dynamically do this at the time of this recording. I wish they did. It's definitely a great feature request, but they don't. So just be mindful anytime you launch new video ad campaigns, go back into your video audiences and just add those different segments in, those campaigns, so that way you can start to get counted for as well. Okay, so now that we talked about what this looks like in practice with the retargeting segments, let's just kind of dive over here now to like video types that convert. So my world is B2B and software, just for the sake of context here. So if you're watching this and you're in e-commerce or, something else, just know that I'm speaking from my experience with B2B SaaS. And these are like the 4 types of videos that typically perform best in B2B. But I also think there's a lot of parallels here in terms of like how these videos also perform really well for e-commerce, small business, digital products, etc. Because regardless of the product, how we're demonstrating information, how we're communicating that value and building goodwill and trust with people is pretty much the same thing, right? Because we're still selling to people. So anywho, let's just kind of dive into this really quick. We've got 4 videos here. We've got explainer videos, use case videos, testimonials or UGC videos, and then FAQ videos. So explainer videos are so powerful and not enough companies do it. This can be as simple as somebody with just walking through your product using Loom or some sort of like simple screen share recording software, and they're just walking through the product and they're communicating different use cases that you solve and like value in terms of like how the product works and just explaining how the product works, simply put. That's explainer videos. They can take 60 seconds to create depending on the person recording it. It doesn't need to be fancy, highly produced. All of these videos can be done, as cheaply as you need to. But the idea is you're giving people a view into what it's like to actually use your product. And the more you can give people a window and a door into the other side, the more likely they are going to be to convert. And not only once they convert, if you've already given them that pre-framing of what it's like actually being on the other side of the product, the churn is going to actually be lower as well because you've given them that pre-frame. So now when they do convert, they have a better understanding and expectation of what it is that they signed up for in the first place. So explainer videos are incredible. Again, does not need to be high in production. Explainer videos also are more authentic than animated explainer videos. So animated explainer videos are like, the ones you think about like very corporate. It's just like motion graphics of different sections of your product, and like there is a time and place and that can work, but specifically these videos, I'm talking a CSM, a product manager, someone, the salesperson, just literally explaining the product, and you can have this take different shapes and forms. You can have a CSM do the walkthrough and kind of explaining and answering the most common questions that they get in onboarding. It could be a salesperson basically rehearsing their pitch, but doing it now in a recorded video. It could be a product manager talking about the things that they're really excited about and like the really cool things and features that they've created in the platform, but real simple stuff, and it does extremely well. The second one is use case videos. Use case videos are similar to explainer videos. The difference is explainer videos focus on your overall product and how it works and like key value and things to take away. Use cases are much more specific. So with use case videos, we are really narrowing our scope of focus into like very, very specific outcomes that we provide. So for context, maybe your product and service has like a very specific report that every time someone sees that report, they get excited in the sales process. We're like, wow, you can actually show me that. That's really cool. So that's an example. Or maybe you're like a email marketing software, and one of your use cases that you can solve for is scheduling campaigns, right? How you can like have campaigns start and stop, and you can also take into consideration the time of day. I'm just spitballing here, but that's like a really specific use case that your prospects could potentially find valuable. So pro tip here is talk to your salespeople, analyze your sales call transcripts. You can run them through ChatGPT and figure out like what are the most common jobs to be done, things, problems that folks are trying to solve. And then you can find all of those specific use cases, and then you can create, again, similar to the explainer videos. None of these videos have to be overly polished. Just simple example videos walking through, hey, here's how we solve that specific use case that you might be dealing with. So for context, like if I was promoting the community, our community, the Ad Conversion community, and I wanted to create use case video content, I could create different videos covering our different playbooks that we have in the community. So for context, like we have tons of playbooks around different things, and they're like documented step-by-step guides with video tutorials and step-by-step walkthroughs in terms of like written examples. And one of them is how to use LinkedIn Thought Leader ads. So I could create a use case video talking about LinkedIn Thought Leader ads, walking through our playbook. That's an example of use case videos. The next one is testimonials and UGC. I feel like this one's pretty straightforward, but video testimonials are incredibly powerful. Proof is the one thing you can never get enough of in marketing, and using other people's words and credibility on your behalf is exceptional. So this could be, video testimonials in terms of like, it could be as polished as you want it to be in terms of like high-end production. You're doing a shoot with your customers, to the very low-end spectrum of just getting on a Zoom call with your customers, recording the call and asking them basic questions and recording their responses. It really doesn't need to be as more crazy than that. And then UGC videos are video testimonials or video content that users create on your behalf. So you could definitely pay influencers to create this content for you. This is big in e-commerce. The same could be done with B2B and SaaS, but even better if it's like a real user that just happened to get a lot of value from your product. They made a post about you on LinkedIn, shouting you guys out. Now you can take that post, you can promote it as a thought leader ad, and now you've got UGC content in your feed. Okay, and the next one, which I don't think enough people talk about, is FAQ videos. FAQ videos are exceptional for people that are already in the evaluation stage, meaning they've visited your pricing and sales page. Maybe they're already an open opportunity. Maybe they already booked a demo. But basically, FAQ videos are where you're answering the most frequently asked questions around your product or service. So for context, like price and why do you charge what you charge? That could be an FAQ video, right? The headline could be something like, we're expensive and we're worth it. I don't know, right? Or here's 17 ways for you to justify your investment with us to your CEO or CFO. I'm spitballing here, but these are like FAQ videos that you can create talking about different answers that come up all the time in the sales process. Same is true. For example, like I'm talking very sales-led right now, but if you're product-led, the same could be true, right? Different FAQ videos in terms of like most common support questions you get that prevent users from realizing the aha moment and the value that your platform can provide to get them to activate into a paid user. So these are some examples of video types that convert best. And just to kind of close out here, I want to walk you through an example that we ran in terms of like the strategy to drive $1 million in pipeline for one of our clients using video. So what we found was originally we were running incentivized ads. This is where you offer like a $50 or $100 Amazon gift card to somebody in exchange for taking a demo. We call these awareness demos because they don't typically convert at the same rate. But TLDR here was, we were offering these incentives to key accounts in our ICP. And what we found was, despite the targeting being really good, the copy being quite selective, we were still not getting the lead to SQL conversion rates that we wanted. We typically try to aim for like a 30% lead to SQL rate with the incentive play, and we just weren't getting it. So what we decided to do is we decided to use video as the first touch. So in practice, what this looked like was we had a video ad, And in this case, we were doing a lot of testimonials and UGC type videos. And we were also doing explainer videos. So basically we had these two types of videos. We'll just merge this together. And we were running these videos to people, our ICP, the exact same audience. So titles, list of accounts on LinkedIn. And then what we did as a second touch is once somebody watched at least, for us, it was at least 50% of our videos. Then what we did is we retargeted them using conversation ads. And using conversation ads, now we made the ask for a demo. And we also offered the incentive here. So just doing this simple 1-2 process, we call it the 1-2 punch. This is what drove $1 million in pipeline, which is bananas. So this is where you can use video. You can use it across your entire paid media program, across your entire strategy. But this is like one example of like where we're using video strategically to warm up an audience, build brand affinity and trust, and also have the video be a mechanism of qualifying intent so that now we can reach out to them with a second touch and try to drive conversion. So for context, like with these videos, like if somebody sits around and watches 50% minimum of a 1 to 2 minute testimonial video, the chances of them being in market are much greater, right? So the video itself also acts as this mechanism to go against a cold audience and try to get some signals, like some hand raisers, not necessarily in the form of like a lead submission, but like in terms of their behaviors, these signals of saying, hey, I'm actually in market, or I might be interested in what you're doing, because otherwise, why would I watch this type of content, right? Now, notice how I did not talk about like educational tutorials or things like that are more thought leadership oriented. Those video types are absolutely powerful, and you should definitely, there's a time and place for that in your strategy. Specifically, we love to use educational content in the form of video for like our 90-day and 180-day remarketing groups. But when we're talking about people that we want to drive conversion now and like trying to get somebody to fill out a form, activate a trial, etc. These are the 4 types of videos that we find convert best because they educate consumers on the products, they educate them on the solution, and they're much more bottom of funnel focused, for lack of a better term, in terms of actually driving action. So hope this video was helpful. If you guys want more on LinkedIn and you want to go deeper, and if you're not familiar with our courses, come check us out here at atconversion.com. You can take all of our courses for free. So you can just come here to our courses section and you can see we've got 3 LinkedIn ads courses. We've got Google courses, Reddit courses, a whole bunch. And again, they're all free. Like our vision and mission is like we want to create the go-to place to learn to run ads in the world. The only thing that we charge for is our community. So if you found value from our courses and now you want to take it to the next level, then definitely you can join us there. But you can see here we've got our LinkedIn Ads 101 course. It's all around like launching your first LinkedIn campaigns, the 102 course around optimization, and then the 103 course, which is all around scaling. Now, how do you take it to the next level? So I hope you found this video valuable. If you're not subscribed to the channel already, if you could do me a favor and hit that thumbs up button, subscribe, I'll greatly appreciate it. And I will see you in the next one.